Hello, and welcome to Popcorn News. Something to watch while you eat popcorn.
You got her into this. And you won't raise a hand to help her, will you?
Forget that guy for now. We'll come back to him later on. Pardon me if I tilt back in my chair. This helps me to relax. Today is Thanksgiving, Turkey Day, and Turkey is in the news. A new popcorn kernel has popped. This time at the Turkey-Syria border. As usual, all eyes turn there, and we hear, "Oh my God! A popcorn kernel has popped." It is just like popcorn popping. 2 weeks ago, it was Paris. Pop. Last week, it was Bamako, Mali. Pop. And now, it is a Russian fighter plane shot down. Who, I ask you, tries to string together the popcorn and make some sense of it all? Instead, we get instant answers from hyperventilating websites which somehow have already got the whole thing figured out. It is World War III. It is a false flag. How on earth can these hyperventilating websites instantly know all about it? It is far too early to draw conclusions about the Russian jet shoot-down. And by the time any conclusions can be made, it will not matter, because yet another popcorn kernel will have popped elsewhere, and the hyperventilating websites will have all rushed there with their instant answers. Here are some basic puzzle pieces.
Well, this morning, the West woke up to news that Turkey had shot down a Russian fighter jet over its southern border, downing the Su-24.
And while diplomatic relations between the two countries are souring, there are some questions about whether this will affect the economic relations. Of course, Turkey relies quite substantially on much of its natural gas imports from Russia. Russia itself has just won a contract from Turkey to build a multi-billion-dollar nuclear power plant here. So there's a lot at stake economically between these two countries.
Colleague Inet Chichikan went to the State Department briefing this morning trying to get an answer to this question from its spokesperson, and also reminding of a forgotten quote by the Prime Minister of Turkey. Let's listen.
You're saying Turkey has the right to defend itself. President Obama said the same thing. What defense are you talking about? Does anyone think Russia was going to attack Turkey?
Again, I mean, you know,
Do you think so?
Look, I don't want to parse out this incident. I've said very clearly that we don't know all the facts yet. So for me to speak categorically about what happened is, frankly, would be irresponsible.
In 2012, Syria shut down a Turkish plane that reportedly strayed into its territory. Prime Minister Erdogan then said a short-term border violation can never be a pretext for an attack. Meanwhile, NATO has expressed its condemnation of Syria's attack, as well as strong support for Turkey. Do you see the inconsistency of NATO's response on this?
But I want to leave you with a sort of cherry on top, and it's not quite often we do this, but there was an interesting reaction in one of the U.S. media outlets. Now, Fox News invited a highly decorated retired U.S. Air Force general to talk about the incident, and the man lit up their broadcast with this statement.
So I don't really trust President Erdogan and what he's doing.
Okay.
I think we have to be very, very cautious on this.
Yep.
I think it was an overly aggressive maneuver.
Okay.
And as a NORAD region commander, we would not use these kind of rules of engagement. That had to be pre-planned.
Okay.
That airplane wasn't over Turkish territory long enough.
Long enough. Okay.
Russia's Foreign Affairs Ministry, directly from the minister, Sergei Lavrov, who has already cancelled his trip to Ankara that was due on Wednesday. And now the minister emphasized that the level of terror threat has increased and that the ministry now estimates the threats to be no less than in Egypt.
The Russian president has said that the incidents involving the shooting down of a Russian fighter jet by Turkey cannot go unnoticed for Russia-Turkish relations.
And here, Sergei Lavrov said that the ministry does not recommend Russian citizens to visit Turkey for holiday tourism or any other purposes. And this Tuesday, also, Russian state tourism agency Rostourism has also recommended suspending sales of holiday packages to Turkey. And right after that, one of the country's biggest tour operators, Natalie Tours, has already announced that it decided to temporarily suspend the sales of holiday packages.
Is there no one who is not suffering from attention deficit disorder and can take the time to slowly examine the facts of the popcorn? There are a few, such as Tony Gosling and Thierry Meisen. The rest rush about like mad ants from popcorn kernel to popcorn kernel. And where are the baby boomers? You remember them. They were going to change the world. Nary a peep do we hear from them now in the YouTube videos. I am one of these baby boomers, but apparently I am an oddity. I wish, though, that tens of thousands of my Woodstock generation would be sounding off now as they did in days of yore.
A rock music festival that drew hundreds of thousands of young people to a dairy farm in White Lake, New York over the weekend came to an end today. And we have a report from Richard O'Brien.
They listened for 3 days, and today they sounded the retreat and headed for home. The big problem was that no one had even the slightest notion that they would come in such numbers. Today, wearied but still light of heart, they huddled their masses and set out for home. One youngster died of a suspected overdose of heroin. 80 others were arrested on drug charges. Another boy killed when the driver of a tractor failed to see him inside a sleeping bag. One of the promoters says he wouldn't try this again unless he could rent the Grand Canyon. He may have to. Already there are threats of lawsuits from local business people who called it a disgrace. And so it's all over except for the massive cleanup job that remains. The Woodstock Music and Art Fair, having done its thing, quietly folds its tent and steals away. Till another day. Richard O'Brien, CBS News, White Lake, New York.
Of course, it is now the end of the world. What with the Russian jet being shot down, until next week, when another popcorn kernel pops, and the mad ants will all run there with their instant answers. But if you want to see something really scary, then watch this. And thank you for watching Popcorn News.
She lost her head, you see, when she found she was cornered. Grabbed up a large pair of shears and stabbed Dr. Watson to death. She'll hang for that, you know, and it's all your fault. You got her into this. And you won't raise a hand to help her, will you? she'll hang by her soft white neck. The trustees will put their hands on that pretty body of hers and throw it in a quicklime. Stay back. Do you hear me? Stay back! Put your shoulders up. That's it.